At 10:17 a.m. on January 21st, the United States Senate crossed a line it has never crossed before. 18 Republican senators joined 51 Democrats after sitting through more than 4 hours of classified briefings reviewing intercepted communications, financial transfers exceeding $2 billion, and sworn intelligence testimony. I want you to stop and ask one question. What did Donald Trump do that finally made his own party turn on him? If you want the answer, hit like right now. Let me show you exactly how this moment unfolded. The United States Senate has plunged into chaos. And I want to be clear with you right away, nothing about what's happening right now fits the pattern of normal political drama in Washington. 18 Republican senators have crossed the aisle and joined all 51 Democrats to advance articles of impeachment against Donald Trump. That alone makes this moment historic. A sitting president is now facing impeachment proceedings driven by his own party. That has never happened before. You need to understand what that actually means. This isn't symbolic dissent. Nobody involved is making a protest vote just to send a message. Senators who spent years defending Trump, sometimes at enormous political cost, are now publicly supporting his removal. And the trigger wasn't a leak, a rumor, or media pressure. It was a classified intelligence briefing that multiple senators described as devastating. When senior Republican leadership breaks ranks this decisively, party loyalty isn't weakening. It's already gone. So what pushed this over the edge? According to senators who attended a mandatory classified briefing on January 20th, intelligence officials presented evidence that Trump personally authorized the sharing of highly classified signals intelligence with a foreign adversary. And the motive, they were told, wasn't diplomacy or national security strategy. It was personal business gain, not hypotheticals, not assumptions. Senators reviewed intercepted communications, financial records tracked by Treasury investigators, and sworn testimony from national security officials who said they directly witnessed the conduct and reported it through protected whistleblower channels. I want you to understand how different this is from every impeachment story you've heard before. This isn't about policy disagreements or partisan narratives. Constitutional scholars are already calling this the most serious threat to a presidency since Watergate. And when Republicans who previously voted to acquit Trump are now leading the charge to remove him, something inside the party has fractured beyond repair. Here's how it unfolded. The tension didn't appear overnight. It had been building quietly since early January, when the Senate Intelligence Committee began investigating unauthorized disclosures of classified information originating from inside the executive branch. At first, everything followed the usual script: closed-door interviews, document requests, carefully worded statements. Then January 20th changed everything. That morning, the entire Senate was summoned to a secure facility for a mandatory classified briefing conducted by the Director of National Intelligence and the Director of the National Security Agency. The briefing ran more than 4 hours. Senators walked out shaken. Some declined to speak at all. Others used language rarely heard on Capitol Hill: alarming, severe, unprecedented. According to senators familiar with the briefing, intelligence officials laid out a 6-month pattern of conduct in which Trump allegedly provided classified intelligence related to U.S. military capabilities in the South China Sea to representatives of a foreign government, and in return, Trump allegedly received approval and facilitation of Trump Organization development projects worth billions of dollars. The intelligence package included decrypted communications between Trump and foreign officials, financial transfers tracked by Treasury Department investigators, and testimony from 4 national security officials who reported the conduct through proper whistleblower channels. What hit senators hardest wasn't just the volume of evidence, it was the type of intelligence involved. They were told the disclosures could compromise ongoing military operations, expose intelligence collection methods developed over decades, and place human sources in immediate danger. At that point, nobody in the room was treating this as a policy dispute. The allegation was simple and explosive. The President of the United States traded national security secrets for personal profit, and the fallout was immediate. Within 2 hours of the briefing ending, Senator Mitt Romney convened an emergency meeting of Republican senators in a secure conference room. 17 Republicans attended, including senior leadership figures and longtime Trump allies. According to multiple accounts from people familiar with what happened, the atmosphere inside that room was tense, emotional, and unlike anything most of those senators had experienced. Romney opened by saying the evidence they had just reviewed showed a president who had betrayed his oath of office for personal gain. And if they failed to act, he warned, they would make themselves complicit in that betrayal. History, he said, would judge what they did next. The room reportedly went silent. Then Lindsey Graham stood up, and I need you to understand why that mattered. Graham has been one of Trump's most reliable defenders. According to those present, his voice broke as he spoke. He acknowledged that he had defended Trump through countless controversies, often explaining away conduct that made him uncomfortable because he believed Trump was pursuing legitimate policy goals. But what they had just seen, he said, crossed the line. It wasn't politics. It wasn't disagreement. By any reasonable definition, he said, it was treason. That moment shifted the room. Marco Rubio followed. He told the group the intelligence was irrefutable. Intercepts, financial records, witnesses ready to testify under oath. And if that didn't meet the standard for impeachment, he argued, then the standard no longer meant anything. If this is making sense so far, hit the like button. It helps get this in front of people who need to understand what's happening. By early evening, the group made a decision that almost never happens in American politics. They began drafting articles of impeachment themselves. Impeachment traditionally starts in the House, but Romney later explained the logic bluntly. The House, controlled by Republicans loyal to Trump, had shown no willingness to act. The Senate, he said, had direct knowledge of high crimes and a constitutional duty to respond. Just after midnight on January 21st, the articles were released. 2 charges. The first alleges betrayal of national security for personal gain, charging that Trump knowingly disclosed classified intelligence regarding U.S. military capabilities to representatives of a foreign power in exchange for business concessions benefiting Trump Organization entities. The second alleges obstruction of congressional oversight, charging that Trump directed executive branch officials to withhold information from Congress and instructed witnesses to defy lawful subpoenas. But the real damage came from what supported those charges. While much of the evidence remains classified in sealed annexes, the public portions cite declassified intelligence excerpts. One describes an August 2024 meeting at Trump's private club where intercepted communications allegedly captured Trump disclosing specific intelligence capabilities in exchange for approval of an overseas development project. Another section details financial flows. Treasury investigators traced wire transfers exceeding $800 million initiated within days of the alleged disclosures, routed through foreign-controlled entities and ending in accounts tied to Trump Organization projects. Investigators concluded the pattern represented quid pro quo payments. That's where the political math collapses. Trump survived previous impeachments because party loyalty held. During the Ukraine impeachment, Senate Republicans dismissed the charges as partisan. Only one voted to convict. After January 6th, 7 Republicans voted to convict, but it still wasn't enough. This time, the dynamic is completely different. Republican senators are leading the process. The evidence involves intercepted communications and financial records, not disputed testimony. 18 Republicans have already committed to conviction, with more reportedly undecided. According to senators briefed on the evidence, 3 elements proved decisive. First, intercepted communications showing Trump discussing classified programs using code words known only to cleared officials and directly linking those disclosures to business approvals. Second, financial records tracing approximately $2.3 billion in transfers over 6 months, repeatedly following classified disclosures. Third, whistleblower testimony from national security officials who reported the conduct through protected channels. One report describes Trump explicitly offering to share satellite capabilities in exchange for project approval. That leaves Trump in an impossible position. Denying the allegations contradicts intercepted communications senators describe as explicit. Admitting the disclosures exposes the financial trail. Claiming declassification authority doesn't resolve the issue of personal profit. which constitutional scholars say violates the presidential oath regardless. Legal experts are calling this the gravest constitutional crisis since Watergate. Former intelligence officials warn the alleged conduct could meet the threshold for criminal violations of espionage laws. Even longtime Trump allies have acknowledged the seriousness if the allegations are proven. Right now, the Senate is effectively frozen. Legislative business is stalled. Confirmations are on hold. Allies are watching closely, questioning whether intelligence shared with the United States can still be trusted. Trump's response has only intensified the crisis. He has attacked Republican senators who supported impeachment, calling them traitors and threatening primary challenges. Analysts warn this strategy may accelerate defections rather than stop them. With all Democrats expected to vote for conviction, Trump must prevent at least 16 more Republicans from joining the 18 already committed. Here's the bottom line. The Senate will now conduct a full impeachment trial. Classified evidence will be presented in closed session. Witnesses will testify. At the end, 100 senators will vote on whether to convict and remove a sitting president. This is no longer about politics. It's a live test of whether the constitutional system still works when confronted with overwhelming evidence of presidential misconduct. If you want to stay ahead of what happens next as this trial unfolds, make sure you're subscribed because this story is far from over.